The night is calm in Townsville. The stars hang low, glowing like tiny paper lanterns. Inside the Powerpuff Girls' cozy bedroom, everything is soft and still. Blossom is already asleep, her head resting gently on her pillow, dreaming of constellations and pink ribbons. Buttercup snores softly, curled up with her blanket bunched under her chin. And Bubbles, well, Bubbles is awake. She lies on her side, her big blue eyes open, watching the moonlight spill through the window and paint silver shapes on the floor. Octi, her stuffed purple octopus, sits on her chest. His button eyes seem to twinkle in the dim light. "Octi," Bubbles whispers, "do you ever wonder what dreams look like? I mean, not what they feel like, but what they really look like?" Of course, Octi doesn't answer, but Bubbles pretends he does. She nods, smiling softly. "Yeah, I think they must look like flowers." Outside, the wind drifts past the window with a sigh soft enough to make the curtains sway. And just then, something catches her eye. A faint light flickers outside. It's not a star, it's too low. Not a firefly, it's too steady. It's glowing in the garden below. Bubbles tilts her head. "Hmm?" She slides quietly out of bed, careful not to wake her sisters. Her bare feet touch the cool floor. The moonlight guides her steps. She tiptoes to the window, peeking outside. There it is again, a gentle glow among the flowers. It's pulsing like a heartbeat, soft and blue. The roses, the tulips, the daisies, all are still, but in the center of the garden, a single patch of flowers shines like tiny lanterns. Bubbles gasps softly. "Oh, pretty." Something inside her heart stirs curiosity, the kind that makes her wings flutter and her smile stretch wide. She glances at her sisters one more time. Then she whispers, "Just for a minute, Octi. We'll be quiet." And with that, she floats gently out of the window, her pigtails drifting like ribbons in the night breeze. The air is cool. The moon is bright. She lands softly in the grass, the dew kissing her feet. The garden smells sweet like jasmine, honey, and a little bit of magic. She walks closer to the glowing patch of flowers. They shimmer in blues, greens, and purples colors she doesn't even have crayons for. And in the middle of them, there's something new. A small silver seed. It floats just above the soil, turning slowly in the air, glowing softly. Bubbles kneels down, eyes wide. Oh, wow. A shiny seed. She reaches out, and the moment her fingertip touches it, the garden breathes. The flowers tremble as if waking from a dream. Their petals open wider, releasing tiny specks of light that drift upward like glowing pollen. The air fills with color sparkles of gold and violet twirling together. Bubbles laughs, spinning around as the lights swirl around her. She giggles so hard she nearly forgets to whisper. The silver seed floats higher, then gently lands in her hands. It's warm. Not like fire, more like sunshine trapped in a raindrop. As she watches, the seed splits open, and from it, a tiny sprout begins to grow right in her palms. It curls around her fingers, soft and glowing. And then she hears a voice, soft, musical, almost like the chime of bells underwater. "Bubbles!" She gasps and looks around. "Who said that?" The voice giggles. "Down here." Bubbles looks at the sprout in her hands and realizes it has tiny leaves shaped like hearts and a stem that seems to be smiling. "I'm the dream seed," it says gently. "Thank you for waking me up." Bubbles' eyes go wide. "You can talk." The sprout giggles again. "Only to dreamers." She holds it closer, her heart glowing with wonder. "Are you a magic plant? The dream seed hums softly. Something like that. I grow only when someone wishes for something gentle. Bubbles tilts her head. Something gentle? Yes, says the seed. Not power, not fame. Just kindness. A wish made from love. Bubbles smiles so big, her eyes sparkle. I think I made that kind of wish. I wished I could see what dreams look like. The seed glows brighter. Then maybe I can show you. Before Bubbles can answer, the garden begins to shimmer again. The flowers sway as though caught in a secret breeze. The air hums a sound like hummingbirds made of light. All around her, the petals start to lift off their stems and spiral through the air. Each one glows softly, becoming tiny, floating lights. The garden transforms, the ground fades, the moonlight bends, and suddenly Bubbles isn't standing on grass anymore. She's floating. The dream seed in her hands glows brighter, and a path of shining petals stretches out before her, leading into the sky. Beyond the path, she can see shapes, forming arches made of flowers, rivers made of starlight, and glowing trees that bloom in colors she's never seen. Is that, she whispers, the dream garden, the seed says softly. The place where every dream blooms before it finds its dreamer. Bubbles' eyes widen in awe. Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. Would you like to visit? She nods eagerly, hugging Octi tight. Oh yes, please. The seed hums again, warm and soft. Then hold on. And remember, Bubbles' dreams grow best when you care for them. The petals around her rise higher, swirling faster, creating a gentle spiral of light. Bubbles floats upward, giggling as her hair fans out around her like sunlight. She feels weightless, like she's flying through a lullaby. The garden below becomes a swirl of glowing color, fading into a sea of stars. As she ascends, she sees things in the starlight, little dream shapes drifting by. A paper boat sailing across clouds, a kitten made of moonlight, a castle built of glowing feathers. Each dream floats by like a living wish. Some whisper laughter, some hum softly, some simply sparkle. Bubbles reaches out to one, a tiny butterfly of light that lands on her nose. It shimmers and flutters away, leaving behind a trail of silver dust that makes her giggle. This is amazing, she whispers. It's like the whole sky is dreaming. The dream seed glows in her hands. It always has been, Bubbles, or you just finally look close enough to see it. The petals carry her gently through the air toward a great archway made of blossoms that glow in rainbow light. At the top, written in delicate sparkles, are words that shimmer like a lullaby. Welcome, keeper of kind dreams. Bubbles blinks. Keeper of me? The seed hums softly. Dream gardens need caretakers, someone whose heart is kind enough to keep the dreams safe until morning. Tonight, that's you. Bubbles gasps softly, her voice full of wonder. Me? Really? The seed nods. You were chosen the moment you wished to see what dreams look like. The archway opens wider. A soft golden mist drifts out, smelling like vanilla and stars. Bubbles floats through it, eyes wide and heart full of light. Inside, the dream garden glows endlessly. Flowers made of colors she can't name, rivers of silver laughter, clouds shaped like sleepy faces drifting slowly across the sky. The dream seed in her hands twinkles gently. This is where every kind dream begins, and tonight, it's your turn to help them grow. Bubbles' smile softens. Then I'll take good care of them, promise. The dream seed giggles, its glow warming her palms. I knew you would. The garden hummed softly all around her, not loud, not busy, just alive. And as she floats deeper into the glowing meadow of dreams, Bubbles feels a quiet peace settle over her. A sense that she's exactly where she belongs. The petals drift down around her like soft snow, and her eyelids grow heavy. The dream seed hums one last note, a lullaby without words. And as she drifts through the dream garden, surrounded by light, Bubbles whispers, "Good night, Townsville. I'll keep your dreams safe tonight." The dream garden glowed softly under a silver sky. Bubbles floated between the flowers, her blue eyes wide with awe. Everywhere she looked, dreams were blooming. Some shaped like shimmering bubbles, some like soft feathers, others like tiny stars pulsing gently on their stems. It was beautiful, so beautiful that she almost forgot to breathe. She twirled once in the air, giggling, her laughter echoing faintly through the glowing mist. But as she stopped, something in the air shifted. The hum of the garden, the gentle song she'd been hearing, began to change. It wasn't gone, just slower, like the garden was holding its breath. "Dream seed?" she whispered, glancing down at the glowing sprout in her hand. Its light was softer now, flickering faintly. "The garden feels sleepy," Bubbles said quietly. "Is it supposed to feel like that?" The dream seed hesitated. Its tiny leaves quivered. "Not like this," it murmured. "Something is resting too deeply." Bubbles blinked. "Too deeply? Like they won't wake up?" The seed nodded, if a seed could nod, and its glow dimmed a little more. "Some dreams are fading." The air around them shimmered. The petals of nearby flowers began to close, folding in on themselves, as though drifting into an endless sleep. The colors faded from gold to gray. Bubbles floated closer, reaching out to touch one of the flowers. It felt cold, like moonlight trapped in glass. "Oh no," she whispered. "What happened?" A soft breeze rustled the petals, carrying with it a whisper, faint and hollow. It almost sounded like crying. Bubbles turned slowly, her heart fluttering in her chest. "Did you hear that?" The dream seed didn't answer right away. Its glow brightened slightly, listening. Then from somewhere deeper in the garden came another sound. A rustle, a sigh, and then the faintest whisper. "Don't wake them." Bubbles froze. Her small hands tightened around Octi. Her voice was a tremble. "Who said that?" The air thickened, soft mist curling around her ankles. The once bright petals seemed to bow their heads as though hiding from the sound. The dream seed's voice was quiet. "There are shadows in the garden, too. Not bad ones, just forgotten ones. Sometimes, when a dream isn't cared for, it falls asleep forever." Bubbles frowned. "But that's sad. Dreams shouldn't be forgotten." "No," whispered the seed. "They shouldn't. That's why you're here, Bubbles." The mist drifted aside, revealing a narrow path lined with sleeping flowers. Their colors were faint, and pale blues turned to silver, pinks to white, yellows to gray. And at the end of the path, something moved. A soft shape like a flower made of shadow swayed slowly, even though there was no wind. It was big, taller than Bubbles, its petals folded inward, pulsing faintly with dim light. "That's where the sadness comes from," the dream seed whispered. "The heart of the wilted dreams." Bubbles floated closer, her voice gentle. "Are you okay, little dream?" The shadowy flower shivered. For a long moment, there was no sound but the faint hum of the sleeping petals. Then a voice, weak and echoing, like it came from far away, said, "I forgot what I was supposed to be. Bubbles' heart tightened. She knelt beside the dream, touching its cool petal. "You're supposed to be happy," she said softly. "You're a dream. You're made of good things." The dream sighed. "But no one remembered me. No one wished me again." Bubbles blinked, trying to hold back tears. "But I remember you now. Doesn't that count?" The dream hesitated. The faint light inside it flickered once, then faded again. It's hard to remember warmth when you've been cold for so long. The garden around them seemed to dim, as if the stars themselves were listening. Bubbles pressed her hands gently to the flower's petals, letting her own warmth flow into it. "You're not alone," she whispered. "You're part of the garden. You're part of the song." The dream seed glowed faintly brighter. "Bubbles, you're doing it. You're reminding it what light feels like." The shadowy dream began to tremble, not in fear, but as if waking from a long, deep sleep. Its petals slowly unfolded, revealing a small flicker of color deep inside, faint pink, like dawn through fog. Bubbles smiled through watery eyes. "There you go, see? You do remember." The dream spoke again, its voice softer now. "I was a dream of laughter, of someone's first giggle. I think I belonged to a little girl once." Bubbles gasped softly. "Then you're beautiful. You made someone happy once, and you still can." The dream's light grew brighter. The shadows peeled away, revealing petals glowing like soft coral and pearl. The dream seed hummed beside her. One dream remembered brings another awake. All around them, the sleeping flowers began to stir. One by one, petals opened slow, sleepy, glowing. Color returned to the garden like a sunrise spreading across the sky. But deep in the distance, Bubbles noticed something strange. A part of the garden beyond the glowing trees still looked different. Not gray, but black. Empty. Like a patch of sky with no stars. She frowned slightly. "Dream seed, what's over there?" The seed's glow dimmed again. "That part of the garden hasn't bloomed in a long time." "Why?" Bubbles asked. "Because that's where the forgotten dreams go, the ones no one ever wished again." Bubbles looked toward the darkness. It felt lonely. Not scary, exactly, just sad. Quiet in a way that made her heart ache. She floated a little higher, staring into the distance. "I want to help them too." The dream seed's voice trembled. "Bubbles, that place isn't for light. It's where dreams go to rest forever." "But maybe," Bubbles whispered, "they don't want to rest. Maybe they just want someone to care." For a moment, the world was still. Even the glowing flowers seemed to listen. The dream seed sighed softly. "Then you must be very brave and very gentle. The forgotten ones can be confused. They might not remember love." Bubbles hugged Octi close and smiled. "Then I'll remind them. Everyone deserves to be remembered." The seed glowed again, brighter than before, warm and steady. "Then let's go, keeper of kind dreams." The path of light slowly extended forward, winding toward the darker part of the garden. The mist grew thicker, silver turning to gray. And in the distance, faint echoes drifted through the air, not quite voices, but fragments of dreams that once were. Laughter fading into silence. Songs with missing words. Wishes whispered long ago and forgotten. Bubbles took a deep breath. "I'm coming," she said softly, her little voice steady. "I'll find you." And with that, she began to float toward the darkness where the forgotten dreams waited, silent and lonely, for someone to bring back their light. The garden behind Bubbles grew quieter the further she floated. The glow of the flowers faded little by little, like candles candles flickering behind her. Ahead, the air changed. It wasn't cold exactly, but still. The kind of stillness that made even a whisper sound loud. The dream seed hovered in her palms, its light soft but steady. "You don't have to go farther," it said gently. "This part of the dream garden doesn't remember light." Bubbles hugged Octi to her chest, her voice calm but certain. "Then I'll help it remember." She floated forward. The glowing petals beneath her feet turned gray, then silver, then shadow. The sky above deepened into a blue so dark it looked like deep water. Tiny motes of light drifted in the air, faint remnants of dreams that had lost their color. As she moved deeper, she noticed that the flowers here were different. Their petals drooped, heavy with dew that shimmered faintly in the dim light. They looked tired, not broken, just waiting. Bubbles knelt beside one. It was shaped like a tulip, its edges pale and translucent. She touched it gently. "Hi there," she whispered. "You're really pretty, you know." The tulip didn't move, but its petals shivered slightly under her hand, a faint response like a sigh. The dream seed hummed quietly. "They can still hear you. They just forgot how to answer." Bubbles thought for a moment. Then she smiled softly. "Well, if they forgot how to talk, maybe they remember songs instead." She took a deep breath and began to hum low and sweet, a melody she always sang to Octi before bed. It was soft as the breeze, round as moonlight. At first, the sound just hung there in the stillness. Then, one by one, the flowers around her began to sway barely, like breathing. A few opened slightly, revealing a faint shimmer inside. Bubbles smiled wider. "See, you do remember." The dream seed twinkled beside her, its glow stronger now. "Your kindness wakes them." But as her song continued, another sound joined it. A faint echo, not quite in tune, like someone else was humming too, somewhere far away. Bubbles stopped for a moment, listening. "Dream seed. Did you hear that?" "Yes," it whispered. "That's the voice of the forgotten bloom." "The forgotten bloom?" The seed glowed softly, trembling. "Every garden has a first flower, the one that begins the song. Here that flower bloomed before dreams ever had names. But when people stopped believing in soft wishes, it fell asleep." Bubbles' heart ached. "Oh no, can we wake it up?" The seed hesitated. "Maybe. But the forgotten bloom lies at the heart of the shadows. If you go there, you must not lose your light." Bubbles looked down at the seed, smiling bravely. "I won't, promise." She began to float again, humming her little song under her breath. The further she went, the thicker the mist became. The air shimmered faintly with forgotten whispers, bits of laughter, fragments of dreams. She could almost make them out a child's voice saying, "I wish I could fly," another whispering, "Don't forget me." Her chest tightened. "So many dreams," she whispered softly, "and they all just want to be remembered." At last, she reached the end of the path. There, in the middle of a circle of wilted flowers, stood a single great blossom. Its petals were vast and folded inward, pale as moonstone. It didn't glow, not even a little. Bubbles floated closer. "This is it, isn't it?" The dream seed glowed faintly. "The forgotten bloom." Bubbles landed softly beside it, her pigtails brushing her shoulders. She reached out a small hand and touched one of its petals. It was cold, softer than silk, but heavy with sorrow. "Hey there," she whispered. "It's okay. I'm here now." For a moment, nothing happened. Then a voice, deep and slow, rose from the heart of the flower. It was gentle, but tired, like a voice that had been asleep for centuries. "Why, have you come?" Bubbles swallowed softly. "Because the garden needs you. The dreams are fading without your light." The voice sighed. "My time is over. The world no longer remembers gentle dreaming. They rush, they worry. They forget to wish softly." Bubbles frowned, her heart glowing warm. "That's not true. Some of us still do. We dream about helping, about laughing, about making people happy. That's soft, isn't it?" The flower's petals shifted slightly, a ripple, like a heartbeat. "Perhaps, but I am too tired." Bubbles hugged Octi close and thought for a moment. And then she smiled. "You just need someone to sing with you." Before the forgotten bloom could reply, Bubbles took a deep breath and began to sing. It wasn't loud. It wasn't perfect. It was the kind of song you hum when you're falling asleep, simple, gentle, full of heart. Her voice echoed softly through the shadows, weaving through the still air like a thread of gold. The petals of the forgotten bloom trembled. A faint light flickered deep inside. Bubbles smiled wider, tears glimmering in her eyes. "That's it. You remember, don't you?" The flower's voice came again, quieter now, but softer. "I remember warmth, the laughter of dreamers, the glow of tiny hearts." "Then come back," Bubbles whispered. "The dream garden needs you. I need you." The air began to hum. The dream seed in her hands blazed brighter, and all around them and the sleeping flowers began to stir. Color seeped back into the ground, faint at first, then growing. Golds, blues, pinks, and violets returned like a sunrise unfolding in slow motion. The forgotten bloom opened its petals wide, and from its heart a wave of light spread through the garden. Every wilted dream lifted. Every forgotten wish began to sing again. Bubbles stood in the center, surrounded by light, her hair glowing in the starlight. The dream seed danced beside her, shining brighter than ever before. "You did it," it said softly. "You reminded the dreams what love feels like." Bubbles smiled through tears. "I didn't do it alone. They just needed someone to listen." As the light faded into a calm shimmer, the forgotten bloom spoke one last time. "Thank you, little dreamer. Because of you, the song of the garden lives again." The petals around Bubbles began to rise, swirling like tiny lanterns. The darkness melted away, replaced by a sky full of soft color and gentle stars. The dream seed floated higher. "It's time to go home, Bubbles. The dreams will grow on their own now." Bubbles looked around, her heart full of peace. She waved to the glowing flowers, to the now bright meadow of dreams. "Good night, dream garden," she whispered. "I'll come back someday." The petals swirled around her, carrying her upward through the golden mist. Her eyes grew heavy. Her breathing slowed. The last thing she saw before the world faded was the dream garden blooming once again under a calm, endless sky. The sky above Bubbles shimmered like water, rippling with pale light. For a moment, she didn't know if she was floating or dreaming still. The petals that had carried her began to fade, dissolving into gold dust that sparkled like morning dew. The air felt warm, now gentle, safe, familiar. She blinked, and suddenly she was lying in the dream garden again. But it was different. Everything glowed softly, like the first morning after a long, quiet night. The once dark paths were now lined with glowing blossoms in every color of the sunrise lavender, peach, sky blue, and gold. Tiny dream butterflies drifted between them, wings transparent and slow, as if they were sighing in their sleep. Bubbles sat up slowly, holding Octi close to her heart. "Wow," she whispered. "It's beautiful." The dream seed floated beside her, its light now steady and calm, no longer bright but full, like the glow of dawn through a window. "You brought the morning back," it said softly. "The garden remembers joy again." Bubbles Awaye smiled, her voice still soft from sleep. "I didn't do it alone. The forgotten bloom remembered too." The dream seed nodded, its glow flickering like a nodding head. "Yes, but it was your heart that reminded it how." They sat together in the warm quiet. A gentle breeze rolled through the garden, carrying whispers faint, sleepy voices that drifted through the petals. "Thank you, little one. The dreams will grow again. Rest now. You've done enough." The words brushed her ears like feathers. Bubbles closed her eyes, letting them sink into her like a lullaby. "Will they keep dreaming even when I'm gone?" she asked softly. The dream seed bobbed gently in the air. "They will. Dreams never end, they just change shape. Sometimes they live in gardens, sometimes in songs, sometimes in the hearts of little girls who still believe." Bubbles smiled faintly. "I think I'll always believe." She looked around one last time, taking in every glowing flower, every flicker of lights. Then she noticed something in the center of the garden where the forgotten bloom had been. A single new sprout had grown. It was tiny, no bigger than her hand, but it shimmered in the soft dawn light like a star. "What's that one?" she asked. The dream seed's glow warmed. "That's your bloom." "Mine?" "Yes. Every dreamer who helps the garden leaves behind a flower of their own. It holds their courage, their kindness, and their light. This one will glow whenever you believe in gentle things." Bubbles stared at it, eyes wide with awe. She knelt beside it, tracing a finger along its stem. It pulsed softly under her touch, like a heartbeat. "Then I'll visit again," she promised, "so it doesn't get lonely." "You already gave it what it needed most," said the dream seed. "Love." The sky above them shifted from lavender to gold, from dreamlight to daybreak. Bubbles could feel her eyelids growing heavy, but not with tiredness, with the pull of home. The dream garden shimmered, fading slowly into soft mist. Bubbles blinked once, twice, and then she was back in her bed. The morning sunlight spilled through the window, warm on her face. The faint scent of flowers hung in the air, impossible, but real. She smiled sleepily, blinking at the light. Octi was still in her arms, just where he always was. But tucked in the crook of her hand was a tiny golden petal. It shimmered faintly, just like the ones in the dream garden. Bubbles gasped softly. "Dream seed," she whispered. For a moment there was silence. Then very faintly, she heard a voice, soft as the wind through curtains. "Good morning, little dreamer. The garden is blooming, and so are you." Bubbles smiled, her heart full. She placed the golden petal on her nightstand beside her drawing book. "Good morning," she whispered back. Downstairs, she could hear the professor humming as he cooked breakfast. Buttercup was probably still asleep, and Blossom was already reading like always. Everything felt warm, ordinary, and safe. But Bubbles knew deep down that the dream garden was real, blooming somewhere in the quiet corners of the world. She hugged Octi tight and whispered, "I'll dream again tonight." Outside, the sunlight shimmered like the petals of her flower. The day began softly, as if the whole world was still half asleep, wrapped in the whispering calm of dawn. The sunlight in Townsville always came fast, golden, and a little too bright, but this morning it felt different. It felt soft. The light came in slow, gentle waves, gliding across the Powerpuff Girls' room and painting the walls with warm yellow. Bubbles yawned and stretched. Her blue blanket slipped down and Octi tumbled onto her lap. "Good morning, sleepyhead," she said softly, brushing a bit of dust off his button eye. He didn't answer, of course, but she swore his smile looked a little brighter. She turned her head toward the window. The little golden petal still sat on her nightstand, glimmering in the sunlight. It hadn't faded at all. If anything, it glowed even more now that the day had begun. Blossom was already up, brushing her hair and humming quietly to herself. Buttercup was buried under a pillow, mumbling, "5 more minutes." Bubbles giggled. Everything felt ordinary, but also extraordinary. She could still feel a faint hum in her chest, the same peaceful rhythm she heard in the dream garden. She took a deep breath and listened. Outside, the world was busy cars, birds, the wind, but beneath it all was a softer sound, a quiet song, the song of morning. It was in everything, in the sound of Blossom's brush, in Buttercup's soft snores, in the distant clink of the professor's coffee cup. And it whispered to her, "Carry the calm." Bubbles smiled. She didn't know exactly what that meant yet, but she wanted to find out. Downstairs, the kitchen smelled like pancakes and syrup. The professor looked up from his frying pan as the girls came down. "Well, good morning, my little scientists," he said cheerfully. "You all sleep well?" "Like a log," Blossom said, pouring juice. Buttercup grumbled, rubbing her eyes. "Had a dream about punching a volcano." Bubbles giggled. "I had a dream too, but mine was quiet. It was beautiful." The professor smiled warmly. "That sounds lovely, sweetheart. Maybe you can draw it later." "I will," said Bubbles, already imagining the glowing flowers, the silver mist, the dream seed. She reached for the syrup and paused. The golden petal she'd carried down shimmered faintly in the morning light. For a moment, she thought she saw the reflection of the dream garden in its tiny surface, the flowers, the soft stars, everything. The world around her seemed to hush. She closed her eyes and listened again. The same calm hum from her dream filled her heart. And as it did, she felt something new, a sense of warmth that spread outward, gentle and bright. When she opened her eyes, the syrup bottle had stopped wobbling. Buttercup had almost knocked it over, and Blossom's coffee cup, which was about to spill, steadied itself just in time. The professor blinked. "Well, that was lucky." Bubbles smiled softly. She didn't say anything, but she knew it wasn't luck. It was the dream garden's magic, or maybe something inside her. That morning, the girls went out to patrol the city. There was no danger, no monsters, just a quiet day, the kind that makes you notice the little things. Bubbles flew lower than usual, her pigtails catching the sunlight. Below her, she saw children walking to school, holding hands and laughing. A woman helped a little boy pick up his dropped books. A dog barked happily at pigeons. Everywhere she looked, there was kindness, tiny, ordinary things. And as she flew, that same soft hum from her heart seemed to ripple through the air. Flowers in a nearby park turned their faces toward her, blooming just a little brighter. A crying toddler stopped sniffling when Bubbles landed nearby and smiled. "Hey there," she said softly. "It's okay. The world's not so scary." The child blinked at her, then giggled, and Bubbles felt the hum in her chest glow even warmer. The song of morning, she realized, wasn't about music at all. It was about feeling, about bringing the calm of dreams into waking life. When she flew back home later, the clouds above Townsville seemed to shimmer with faint pastel colors like pieces of the dream garden still clinging to her wings. That night after dinner, she sat by her window with Octi in her lap. The golden petal glowed beside her. She opened her drawing book and began to sketch gentle strokes, soft curves, little dots of light. Soon the dream garden filled the page, every flower, every sparkle, every song she remembered. And when she was done, she pressed the petal onto the page. It stayed there, glowing faintly. Blossom looked up from her reading. "That's beautiful, Bubbles." "Thanks," Bubbles said, smiling. "It's from a dream, but I think dreams are kind of real if you believe in them." Blossom smiled knowingly. "I think you're right." Buttercup peeked over. "As long as it doesn't eat us or something." Bubbles giggled. "Nope, it just sings." The sisters laughed and the room filled with warmth. Outside, the moon rose round and soft, shining down on Townsville. Bubbles looked up at it and whispered, "Good night, Dream Garden. Thank you for the morning." And if you listen closely, very closely, you might have heard the faintest echo of a song carried on the wind from far, far away. "Good night, little dreamer. You've made the morning sing." The night was quiet again in Townsville. A soft breeze drifted through the window, carrying the scent of warm summer air and faint lilac. Moonlight pooled gently across the floor, painting everything silver. Bubbles sat by her window, her chin resting on her knees. Octi nestled in her lap. The little golden petal on her nightstand shimmered softly, catching the moonlight. It had been a long day, calm, happy, full of small, kind moments. The kind of day that felt like a dream you didn't want to end. But as the world grew quieter, she found herself thinking of the dream garden again. She whispered, "Do you think it's blooming tonight too, Octi?" Octi didn't answer, but she imagined he did. His little smile seemed to say yes. She looked up at the moon. It hung above the city like a watchful eye, steady and peaceful. And for a moment she thought she saw tiny petals drifting across its light like echoes of her dream. Then softly, a familiar voice whispered through the quiet. "Still awake, little dreamer?" Bubbles blinked. "Dream seed?" she whispered, her voice barely a breath. A faint golden glow shimmered in the air beside her. There it was smaller now, gentle as a firefly. The dream seed floated beside the window, glowing softly in the moonlight. "I just wanted to see how your heart was blooming," it said. Bubbles smiled, her eyes half closed with sleepiness. "It's happy and calm. Everyone was kind today." "That's because you shared your song," said the dream seed. "You carried the garden's light into your world." Bubbles looked down at her hands. "Do you think it'll stay forever?" The dream seed drifted closer, hovering just in front of her. "Yes, because the dream garden isn't a place, Bubbles." It touched her chest gently with its light. "It's here." Her heart glowed faintly beneath her pajamas, soft, golden, steady. "You mean the garden was inside me all along?" The dream seed shimmered. "It always has been. You found it when you learned to listen out of stillness, to kindness, to your own gentle voice. That's where dreams grow." Bubbles' eyes shimmered. She felt warmth spread through her like sunlight melting into her bone. It felt like the garden itself was breathing inside her, every flower, every song, every calm whisper. She smiled. "That means everyone has one too, right? A dream garden?" The dream seed's light pulsed softly. "Yes, every heart has a small garden where its truest dreams bloom. Sometimes people forget to water it, or they let fear shadow it for a while. But even then, it never dies. It just waits for someone to remember." Bubbles sighed happily, eyelids drooping. "I'll remind them." I know you will, said the dream seed. The room grew even quieter now, just the hum of night and her slow, sleepy breathing. The golden petal on her nightstand glowed a little brighter, and for a moment, the faint outline of a garden shimmered in the moonlight. Flowers made of light, glowing softly all around her. Bubbles looked at them sleepily, her voice barely a whisper. Good night, flowers. Good night, dream seed. The little glow drifted closer, circling her once. Good night, Bubbles. May your dreams bloom gently. Then it faded, not gone, but resting like a candle dimming into stillness. Bubbles snuggled into her pillow, hugging Octi close. The moonlight fell softly across her face. Her breathing slowed. Her smile lingered. Outside, the city slept. Inside, her heart glowed faintly, a garden of warmth, color, and calm. And somewhere, deep in that garden of dreams, flowers swayed to a melody only the heart could hear, a lullaby that said, "You are safe. You are loved. And you are never alone." The song drifted upward past the stars across the quiet sky until it became part of the night itself. Townsville was calm for once. No monsters stomping down Main Street, no laser-eyed robots, no chaos in sight. For Buttercup, that was the strangest thing of all. She hovered above the rooftops, arms crossed, pigtails rustling in the breeze. Man, she muttered, you'd think some giant lizard could at least try to attack today. But the city glowed quiet and safe below her streetlights, shining like sleepy stars, windows warm with dinnertime light. Even the sky seemed to yawn. She sighed and landed on a nearby rooftop. Bubbles and Blossom had already gone home to help the professor with dinner. Buttercup had stayed out a little longer, just in case someone needed rescuing. Because deep down, though, she'd never say it out loud, she liked helping people. She just liked doing it her own way, quick, cool, and loud. She sat on the edge of the roof, kicking her boots against the ledge. And that's when she heard it. A sound so soft she almost missed it. A faint, tiny meow. Buttercup frowned. She tilted her head, listening. There it was again, high-pitched and trembling somewhere below. Uh-oh, she said quietly. That's not a monster. That's something small. She floated down to the alley, her boots touching the pavement with a soft thud. The sound came again from behind a pile of old boxes. Buttercup knelt down, pushing them gently aside. And there, shivering, eyes wide as moons, was a tiny gray kitten. It looked up at her with the kind of hope that could melt even a superhero's heart. Buttercup blinked. Oh, hey there, little guy. The kitten gave a weak mew and took a wobbly step forward. Buttercup crouched lower. You lost, huh? It blinked slowly, tilting its head. Then it sneezed. Buttercup's mouth twitched. She was trying really hard not to smile. She glanced around the empty alley, muttering, Okay, Buttercup. It's just a cat. You can handle this. She picked it up carefully, though she'd never admit that she was being careful. The kitten fit perfectly in her hands, warm and tiny, its heartbeat quick against her palm. It meowed again, softer now. All right, she said, rolling her eyes. Don't look at me like that. We'll find your home. She flew up over the rooftops, scanning the streets below for any sign of a worried owner. No posters, no kids calling for a cat. Just the usual Townsville quiet. The kitten curled into a tiny ball in her hand, purring faintly. Buttercup looked at it and sighed. Okay. Maybe you can hang with me for a bit, but no scratching, got it? The kitten just purred louder. She landed on another rooftop to rest, sitting cross-legged. The city breeze brushed her hair. It was strange she was used to holding things like giant boulders or villains' gadgets. But this was different. The kitten's warmth spread through her palms, and for the first time that day she felt calm. Buttercup smiled just a little. Guess it's not so bad, huh? Just you and me. The kitten gave a sleepy mew and tucked itself into her arm. Buttercup sighed again, softer this time. Don't get used to it, though. I'm not going all mushy. But even as she said it, she could feel her voice growing quiet, gentle. Above them, the first stars began to appear. The night air was cool and steady. Buttercup leaned back, watching the sky, the kitten purring against her chest. Maybe she didn't need monsters or noise tonight. Maybe, just maybe, a quiet night was okay. A low growl of thunder trembled through the sky. Buttercup glanced upward. Great, she muttered. Now it's going to rain. The kitten blinked at her from the crook of her arm, tiny ears twitching. She could feel it shiver. Okay, don't freak out. I've handled way worse than clouds. But even as she said it, a fat drop of rain splashed right on her nose. Plink. Then another. Then a curtain of silver rain began to fall across Townsville. Buttercup darted beneath the edge of a tall building, tucking the kitten close under her jacket. See, dry as a bone, she said, even though her boots were already soaked. The kitten gave a shaky little purr. Buttercup sighed. We gotta find your home fast, buddy. She flew low through the city streets, rain streaking past her like tiny comets. The lights blurred in the drizzle neon signs, warm windows, reflections rippling in puddles. Townsville looked different in the rain, slower, quieter, almost sleepy. Every now and then she'd stop to peek under awnings or porches. Here, kitty's owner, she called softly, her voice half lost to the wind. But nobody answered. She landed beside a laundromat whose sign still glowed faintly. Inside, a woman folded towels while humming to herself. Buttercup knocked on the glass. Hey, you lose a cat? The woman shook her head, smiling kindly. Sorry, sweetheart. Try the little shop on Maple Street. They put out food for strays. Thanks, Buttercup said, and zipped off again, water spraying behind her. By the time she reached Maple Street, the storm had grown heavier. The air smelled like wet earth and electricity. She spotted the shop, a cozy corner bakery with lights still on and a row of tiny dishes outside the door. She landed carefully beneath the awning, shielding the kitten. Okay, let's see if this is your spot. She crouched beside the dishes. The kitten sniffed one milk, rain-cooled, then turned its head away. Not yours, huh? The kitten meowed softly, almost like no. Buttercup sighed, wiping rain from her cheek. Figures, nothing's ever easy. But then she noticed something, a poster taped beside the bakery window. It was damp and curling at the edges, but the picture was clear. A little gray kitten with a pink ribbon collar. The name underneath said Misty. Buttercup gasped. That's you. She turned the kitten toward the poster. Misty, huh? Cute name. Guess we found your people. There was an address at the bottom, Maple Street. Apartment 3B. She grinned. All right, Misty, let's go home. The flight back was quick, but careful. The rain had turned softer now, a drizzle instead of a downpour. Each streetlight reflected gold in the puddles below. Buttercup hovered outside the apartment window and peeked in. Inside, a little girl sat on the couch, eyes red from crying, holding a small pink collar in her hands. Bubbles' heart might have melted instantly. Buttercup just swallowed hard. Okay, tough girl. Let's do this right. She tapped gently on the glass. The girl looked up, eyes wide, then her mouth dropped open. Powerpuff Girl. Buttercup grinned. Yeah, but tonight, it's just delivery service. She held out the kitten. Somebody's been missing you. The girl's face lit up like sunshine through the storm. Misty, she cried, opening the window. The kitten leapt into her arms, purring so loudly, Buttercup could hear it even over the rain. The girl hugged her pet close. Thank you. I thought she was gone forever. Buttercup rubbed the back of her neck, suddenly shy. It's no big deal. She's a tough one. Must have gotten lost in the storm. The girl looked at her with pure gratitude. Still, you're really kind. Buttercup blinked, caught off guard. Kind? That word hit her right in the chest, softer than she expected. Thanks, she said, scratching her head. You take good care of her, okay? I will, the girl promised. Buttercup gave a small salute, then floated backward into the misty rain. The window closed, and warm light spilled onto the street as laughter echoed behind her. As she flew home, the clouds began to break apart. A pale glow shimmered at the horizon, the moon slipping through. Buttercup breathed deeply. Her jacket was soaked, her hair stuck to her face, but she felt good. Really good. Helping someone always felt nice, but this was different. It was quiet, gentle, warm. She whispered to the night. Guess even tough girls can do soft stuff sometimes. The wind carried her words away, soft as a purr. The storm was almost gone when Buttercup reached home. The sky shimmered with the pale light that comes after rain, silver clouds drifting, drops of water shining on every rooftop like tiny stars. She landed quietly on the front porch, boots splashing in a leftover puddle. Through the windows, she saw a soft golden glow and the familiar shape of Blossom setting the table. Bubbles was laughing, her voice light and sweet, and the professor moved gently about the kitchen. Buttercup stood for a second, listening. It felt peaceful. A kind of peace she hadn't even realized she'd been craving. She opened the door. Warmth rushed over her instantly, the smell of soup, the hum of the stove, and Bubbles' cheerful voice. Welcome home, Buttercup. Blossom turned from the table, eyebrows raised. You're soaked. Were you fighting something? Buttercup grinned. Kinda. More like saving someone. Bubbles gasped dramatically. Was it a puppy? Clothes, Buttercup said, peeling off her soggy gloves. A kitten. Bubbles clasped her hands. Ah, baby kitty. What happened? What color? Did it purr? Did it like you? Buttercup rolled her eyes, but the corners of her mouth curved. Yeah, slow down. Gray. Lost in the rain. Found its home. No big deal. Blossom handed her a towel. No big deal. That's exactly the kind of thing that matters, Buttercup. Buttercup took the towel, rubbing her hair dry. Well, yeah, maybe. It was just nice to help, I guess. Bubbles smiled softly, her voice almost a whisper. See, you helped someone tiny feel safe again. For a second, Buttercup didn't answer. She just stood there, the warmth of the house soaking into her, the rain still whispering outside. Her chest felt light calm in a way she hadn't expected. The professor appeared, smiling. Ah, my brave little hero. Hungry? Buttercup grinned. Starving. He chuckled. Then grab a seat. Dinner's almost ready. The sisters gathered at the table, the lights low and cozy, the room filled with the soft clink of dishes. Buttercup sat between Blossom and Bubbles, still in her damp socks, hair wild from the towel. She didn't say much, just listened. Bubbles was telling a story about a rainbow she'd seen that morning. Blossom was explaining how clouds formed after a storm. Buttercup smiled faintly. She looked out the window, rain still sliding down the glass, and thought of Misty, curled up safe in her little girl's arms. Something inside her glowed quiet, steady, real, like she'd carried a tiny bit of that warmth home. Blossom noticed her smiling and said teasingly, "What's that look for? You thinking of the kitten?" Buttercup shrugged, trying to sound cool. "Maybe. It was cute, that's all." Bubbles giggled. "Buttercup thinks kittens are cute." "Do not tell anyone," Buttercup said, pointing her spoon like a threat. They all laughed, and even Buttercup couldn't help it. Her laughter was soft, genuine, not the loud kind that came from winning a fight, but the gentle kind that comes from being safe. After dinner, they all helped clean up. Buttercup volunteered to dry the dishes, which surprised everyone. She just smirked. "What? I can help sometimes." Bubbles smiled. "See? You're being soft again." Buttercup sighed. "If you say that word one more time." But she didn't finish, because Bubbles slipped her arm around her and hugged her side. Buttercup froze for a second, then laughed quietly and patted her sister's head. "Yeah, okay. Maybe a little soft." The professor's voice drifted from the kitchen. "That's my girl." Later that night, the girls got ready for bed. Blossom was reading. Bubbles hummed softly while brushing her hair. Buttercup sat by the window again, the towel now draped over her shoulders like a cape. The moon hung above Townsville, glowing faintly through the last veil of clouds. Buttercup whispered almost to herself, "You did good today." And for once, she wasn't talking to anyone else. She looked out over the city, calm, clean, peaceful, and felt something inside her ease. It wasn't pride, it wasn't victory. It was warmth, soft, simple, beautiful. She yawned, curling up beneath her blanket, her eyelids fluttering closed as Bubbles' lullaby drifted through the room. And as sleep pulled her gently under, she dreamed of rain-sparked streets and a tiny gray kitten purring in her arms. The first light of dawn slipped quietly into the room. It touched the edge of Buttercup's blanket, then crept across the floor until it reached her cheek. She squinted and groaned. 5 more minutes. From the next bed came Bubbles' cheerful hum. She was already awake, sitting cross-legged with her stuffed octopus. "Morning, sleepyhead." Buttercup peeked from under her pillow. "Do mornings have to be so bright?" Bubbles giggled. "That's because the storm cleaned everything. Look." She pointed out the window. Buttercup sat up slowly, rubbing her eyes. The world outside sparkled. Raindrops clung to leaves like tiny diamonds. Townsville looked fresh, washed new. "Huh," Buttercup murmured. "Guess it's kinda nice." Blossom's voice came from the doorway, calm and practical as ever. "Good morning, team. Breakfast ready?" Buttercup stretched her arms, feeling her muscles loosen. Her body still carried that gentle tiredness that follows a good deed. Not exhaustion, more like a quiet echo of kindness. At the table, the professor served pancakes stacked high and golden. Bubbles added strawberries shaped like hearts. Blossom poured juice neatly into glasses. Buttercup just grinned. "Man, I could get used to mornings like this." The professor smiled. "It's amazing what a little rain and rest can do for the soul." Bubbles nodded, mouthful. "And kittens." Buttercup laughed softly. "You're still on that, huh?" "You saved her," Bubbles said, eyes sparkling. "You were all brave and gentle." Blossom smiled knowingly. "It's not easy for any of us to balance strength and care. But you did, Buttercup." Buttercup shrugged, cheeks faintly pink. I just did what needed doing." The professor leaned over, his voice kind. Sometimes what needs doing most is a small act of kindness. Buttercup looked down at her plate. She didn't say anything, but her chest felt light, that same soft warmth from the night before. After breakfast, the girls headed outside. The air smelled like wet grass and sunlight. Puddles shimmered in the streets, reflecting the blue sky. Buttercup hovered above one and watched her reflection ripple. She looked different. Still tough, still sharp, but something gentler in her eyes. Bubbles twirled nearby, singing to herself. Blossom studied a rainbow that curved faintly across the clouds. Buttercup took a deep breath. So no monsters again today? Not yet, Blossom said, smiling. Maybe the world just needs a quiet morning. Buttercup folded her arms, but smiled back. Yeah, maybe. They flew over the city for a quick patrol, no villains, no emergencies. Just the golden light of day shining over rooftops. When they passed Maple Street, Buttercup slowed. Below, through an open window, she saw the little girl she'd helped. Misty was curled up on the girl's lap, purring while sunlight painted them both in gold. Buttercup hovered for a moment, smiling softly. The girl looked up, and though she couldn't see the Powerpuff clearly through the light, she waved anyway. Buttercup waved back, quiet and happy. Then she turned to her sisters. Come on, let's head home. As they flew away, a breeze swept through her hair, warm, gentle, sweet. And for the first time, Buttercup realized something. Being soft didn't mean being weak. It meant being open to feeling, to helping, to loving. And that, maybe, was its own kind of power. She grinned to herself. Guess I've got more than one superpower now. Bubbles laughed. Told you. Blossom smiled. We're proud of you, Buttercup. Buttercup smirked, pretending to brush it off, but inside her heart bloomed like sunlight after the rain. By the time the sun was high, Townsville was alive again. The puddles had dried and the clouds had drifted away, and everything smelled like clean air and fresh grass. The girls had finished their patrol early. Blossom wanted to work on homework. Bubbles had art supplies scattered across the living room floor, and Buttercup was bored. Can't believe there's still no monsters, she muttered, lying upside down on the couch. Bubbles giggled without looking up from her crayons. Maybe it's because you scared them all away yesterday. Buttercup smirked. Ha! Guess they're too scared of a girl who can also save kittens. Blossom, sitting at the desk, didn't even glance up. Maybe it's because you're finally balanced, Buttercup. Strong and soft. The universe likes balance. Buttercup groaned. You sound like the professor when he reads science poems. The professor poked his head in from the kitchen. I heard that. All three giggled. After lunch, Buttercup decided to stretch her wings. She zipped out the door and hovered above the park, watching kids play in the sun. That's when she heard a shout, not scared, just frustrated. Hey, give it back! Two boys were arguing over a soccer ball. One had taken it, holding it high above the other's reach. Buttercup landed between them with a gust of wind that blew dust around their sneakers. Whoa, easy there. What's the deal? The taller boy looked nervous. We were just playing. The smaller one sniffled. He took my ball! Buttercup folded her arms. Not cool. The tall boy's eyes darted away. I just wanted a turn. Then ask, Buttercup said gently. Her voice wasn't loud or harsh, just steady. Grabbing stuff doesn't make you tough. Listening does. Both boys blinked at her. Buttercup crouched so they were eye level. I used to think being strong meant being louder or faster. But sometimes being strong means being kind, even when you don't feel like it. The smaller boy wiped his nose. Like when you helped that kitty on TV? Buttercup froze, cheeks pink. You saw that? He grinned. Everyone did. You were all like flying in the rain and saving it and stuff. Buttercup rubbed her neck. Yeah, well, somebody had to. The tall boy bit his lip. Sorry, he mumbled, handing the ball back. Buttercup smiled. See? That's what I'm talking about. That's strength. The boys exchanged a sheepish grin and ran off to play again this time, passing the ball back and forth fairly. Buttercup stood watching them, a faint pride warming her chest. She hadn't needed to punch, shout, or show off. Just talk. Just care. She took off again, the breeze soft against her cheeks. Down below, laughter echoed through the park, free, light, full of color. Later that afternoon, she met Bubbles and Blossom by the big oak tree. They were feeding birds with crumbs from lunch. Hey, Buttercup said, landing beside them. So I taught some kids about kindness today. Bubbles gasped. You did? Blossom smiled. Looks like your lesson's spreading. Buttercup shrugged, trying to hide her grin. Yeah, well, can't have people thinking I've gone soft all the way. Bubbles giggled. Too late. They all laughed, the sound rising like the wind through the branches. A few doves fluttered down, landing near Buttercup's boots. She knelt, holding out her hand. One brave little bird hopped closer and pecked a crumb from her palm. She didn't move, didn't scare it away, just watched quietly as it trusted her. See? Blossom said softly. Even the birds know. Buttercup smiled. Guess word gets around fast. The sun began to dip lower, painting everything gold. Buttercup looked toward the glowing city skyline. You know, being kind actually feels kind of powerful. Blossom nodded. It is powerful. Bubbles leaned against her shoulder, yawning. And it's pretty? Buttercup chuckled, resting an arm around her sister. Yeah, pretty powerful. The wind stirred the grass, soft and steady. For a moment, none of them spoke. They just watched the sunset, three sisters, different but the same, glowing in the last light of day. The sky over Townsville turned from gold to violet. Streetlights blinked on one by one like little stars coming down to rest. Inside the Powerpuff house, everything was calm. Bubbles was already yawning, brushing her hair with half-closed eyes. Blossom was stacking her books neatly on the desk. And Buttercup stood by the window, looking out at the quiet city she'd protected so many times. It looked softer tonight. Maybe it always had been, she just hadn't slowed down enough to see it. She thought of Misty, the gray kitten curled somewhere safe. Of the two boys in the park learning to share. Of her sisters laughing under the tree. Each memory glowed inside her like a small lantern. Yes, softness doesn't slow you down, she whispered. It just helps you see better. From the doorway, the professor's voice floated in, warm and low. Time for bed, girls. Buttercup turned and smiled. Yeah. Night, Professor. He nodded, smiling back. Good night, Buttercup. Sweet dreams. Lights dimmed. The house settled into that peaceful hush that only comes once everyone's safe. Bubbles hummed a sleepy tune as she climbed under her blanket. Blossom turned the last page of her book, eyes fluttering closed. Buttercup slipped into bed last. Her sheets were cool. Her pillow smelled faintly of sunshine from the morning. She lay there, staring at the ceiling, listening to her sister's quiet breathing. For a moment, she felt the city breathing too slow, steady, peaceful. In her dream, she was flying again. But not chasing villains this time. She floated above Townsville in the silver light of the moon. Below her, the rooftops gleamed like calm waves. Everywhere she looked, she saw little flickers, hearts glowing softly. People helping one another, gentle things she'd never noticed before. She realized something. Strength wasn't just in fists or lightning punches. It was in patience, in kindness, in holding out your hand and letting a small, scared creature trust you. She smiled in her sleep. The wind whispered around her almost like a voice. Even the strongest hearts are soft inside. Back in the quiet room, Buttercup turned slightly in her bed, a small smile resting on her lips. A single beam of moonlight slid across her face, warm and silver. The professor peeked in one last time. He saw all three girls asleep, safe and dreaming, and whispered, "My brave, gentle heroes." Then he closed the door. Outside, Townsville dreamed too. Somewhere a kitten purred in its sleep. A bird nestled under its wing. And the night carried the faintest hum of peace, a lullaby that wrapped the city in soft green light. If anyone had listened closely, they might have heard Buttercup mumble through her dream, "Good night, little one. You're home now." The wind answered with a sigh, gentle and endless. Townsville was calm that evening. The sky was the color of lavender and honey, the kind of soft twilight that makes you want to curl up somewhere warm. Inside the Powerpuff Girls' house, the smell of popcorn drifted through the air. Bubbles was humming as she poured sprinkles into a bowl. Blossom was making a list with her pink pen. And Buttercup was lying upside down on the couch, tossing a pillow up and down. Blossom adjusted her glasses. "Okay, checklist for maximum fun. Snacks, music, fairy lights, and..." Bubbles gasped, bouncing in place. "Blanket fort!" Buttercup caught her pillow midair. "Oh yeah, now we're talking." The professor peeked in from the kitchen, smiling. "What's all this excitement, girls?" Blossom held up her clipboard. "We're having a moonlight sleepover, Professor. A night of friendship, fun, and rest under the stars." The professor chuckled. "Sounds delightful. Just make sure it's a quiet night, all right?" Buttercup smirked. "Sure thing, Professor. Quiet as a thunderstorm." "Buttercup," Blossom said, hands on hips. Bubbles giggled. "She means quiet and awesome." The professor laughed softly, shaking his head. "All right, my little dreamers. Have fun and don't forget your toothbrushes." As soon as he left, the living room became a flurry of motion. Blankets, chairs, and cushions scattered everywhere. Blossom directed like a tiny architect. "Bubbles, grab the pink and blue blankets. Buttercup, the flashlight string lights are in the closet." Bubbles twirled across the room with an armful of soft fabric. "Look, the star-patterned blanket will be the roof. It'll sparkle like the night sky." Buttercup returned, dragging a tangle of glowing fairy lights. "Got 'em, and maybe later we can hang 'em outside too." Blossom smiled. "Perfect teamwork, girls." They worked and laughed until the living room transformed into a soft fortress, blankets draped like sails, pillows piled like clouds, lights twinkling across the ceiling. It looked like a secret world made of warmth and dreams. Bubbles crawled inside first, eyes shining. "It's like we're inside a star." Buttercup followed, crossing her arms but grinning. "Not bad, I guess. Cozy enough to nap in." Blossom climbed in last, carrying a small tray of cocoa mugs. "Let's make a toast." They clinked their mugs together, hot chocolate swirling with tiny marshmallows. To friendship, Blossom said softly. To sparkles, Bubbles added. To snacks, Buttercup laughed. They all giggled, sipping their cocoa, the fairy lights glowing gently around them. Then Bubbles' eyes widened. Hey, what if we invite our friends too? Buttercup tilted her head. You mean like a real sleepover with everyone? Blossom smiled. That's a wonderful idea. We haven't had a night like that in ages. Bubbles clasped her hands. We could invite Princess, Robin, Mitch, and even Bunny. Buttercup's eyebrows lifted. You're inviting Princess? The same princess who said my boots were too scuffed? Bubbles giggled. Maybe she's nicer at night. Blossom nodded thoughtfully. Let's give everyone a chance. This is a night for peace and friendship, remember? Buttercup sighed, pretending to roll her eyes, but her smile gave her away. Fine, but I'm sitting on the comfy side of the fort. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the girls zipped around Townsville, delivering little glowing invitations shaped like moons. Each one read, You're invited to the Moonlight Sleepover at the Powerpuff House tonight. Bring your coziest pajamas, your warmest smile, and a heart ready for dreams. By the time the sky turned deep indigo, twinkling with stars, the fort was ready, a glowing beacon of warmth in the dark. Buttercup turned off the last lamp, leaving only the fairy lights shimmering like tiny constellations. Blossom smiled. It's perfect. Bubbles yawned happily. I can't wait till everyone gets here. Buttercup stretched, looking up at the soft ceiling of blankets. Guess tonight's gonna be legendary. Soft lullaby melody begins, gentle xylophone, faint guitar. And as the night settled over Townsville, the first gentle knock came at the door. The first knock came softly, tap, tap, tap. Bubbles gasped and practically flew to the door. When she opened it, Robin stood there in polka dot pajamas, holding a bag of popcorn almost as big as she was. Hi, Bubbles. Robin, you made it, Bubbles squealed, hugging her friend. Come on in. We have a blanket fort and sparkly lights. Robin's eyes widened as she stepped inside. Whoa, this looks like a fairy castle. Buttercup grinned from inside the fort. Pretty good, huh? We used all the blankets in the house. Bubbles whispered proudly. Even the professor's emergency quilt. Blossom shushed them, though she was smiling too. Now remember, girls inside voices. It's a sleepover. They all giggled and nodded, though everyone knew that inside voices didn't last long with the Powerpuff Girls. Another knock, then another. Soon Mitch arrived in superhero pajamas, dragging a sleeping bag behind him. Hey, Buttercup, you got room for a pro fort fighter? Buttercup smirked. You can guard the snack entrance. Mitch saluted. Yes, ma'am. Then came Princess, her limo parked right outside, of course. She stepped out in silk pajamas and glittery slippers, holding a tiny overnight bag. Bubbles greeted her with a cheerful wave. Yay, you came. Princess sniffed, glancing around. Well, I couldn't say no to an invitation this adorable. Buttercup muttered, or maybe you just wanted to show off those fancy pajamas. Princess raised an eyebrow. You jealous? Blossom quickly stepped between them. Okay, let's all remember this is a peaceful night. Princess sighed dramatically, but smiled just a little. Fine, but only because these lights are divine. Bubbles whispered to Robin. See? She's trying. Robin giggled. Kind of. As everyone crawled into the fort, it grew warm and filled with laughter. Blankets rustled, marshmallows popped into mugs, and the soft glow of fairy lights painted everyone's faces in gold and blue. Blossom began the night's first game. Moonlight, truth, or dream? She explained, "It's like truth or dare, but instead of dares, you have to share a dream, something you hope for." Bubbles clapped. "Ooh, I'll go first." She hugged her pillow. "My dream is to have a garden full of glowing butterflies. They'd sparkle when I sing to them." Everyone sighed dreamily. Even Princess smiled. "That's actually kind of pretty." Mitch grinned. "Okay, my turn. I dream I'll be the best monster fighting hero in Townsville. Right after the Powerpuff Girls, of course." Buttercup grinned and bumped his shoulder. "Good luck catching up, rookie." Then it was Princess's turn. She hesitated, eyes flickering around the fort. "My dream. I guess I'd like people to like me for me, not just my family name." The fort went quiet for a moment. Bubbles reached over and squeezed her hand. "We already do, Princess." For once, Princess didn't have a snappy comeback. She just smiled softly. "Thanks, Bubbles." Blossom went last. "My dream is simple, to keep everyone safe, happy, and dreaming." Buttercup groaned playfully. "Of course that's your dream, classic Blossom." She stretched her arms and grinned. "Mine's easy. I dream of a world where I can nap without someone screaming, 'Buttercup, help!'" Everyone burst out laughing. The fort felt like it was glowing from the inside, not just from the lights, but from something warmer, friendship. After the giggles faded, they decided to tell a few gentle stories. Bubbles pulled out her sketchbook and began drawing each of them in moonlight pajamas. Robin added silly doodles in the corners. Buttercup tried to balance a marshmallow on her nose. Princess pretended not to laugh, but failed spectacularly. And above them all, through a tiny crack in the blankets, the real moon peeked through bright and full, as if it were watching over their little sleepover world. Blossom noticed and whispered, "Look, the moon's our nightlight tonight." Bubbles snuggled deeper into her blanket, then was safe and shiny. Buttercup smiled faintly, eyes growing heavy. "Yeah, shiny and sleepy." Soft background melody begins slow piano and wind chimes. Outside, Townsville twinkled quietly. Inside, the laughter slowed into yawns. One by one, the girls' voices softened into whispers, then into the rhythm of gentle breathing. The fairy lights blinked like tiny stars. The moon climbed higher. And the blanket fort became a little galaxy of dreams, safe, warm, and full of friendship. Midnight came softly. The city outside was still, the sky deep and full of stars. Only the moon seemed awake, watching over the tiny glowing fort in the Powerpuff house. Inside, everyone slept soundly, arms tucked into blankets, cheeks resting on pillows, soft smiles still on their faces. The fairy lights had dimmed to a slow, sleepy pulse, like the heartbeat of a dream. Then something gentle stirred in the quiet. A sound faint at first, like a breeze humming through silver threads. It wasn't a voice exactly, and it wasn't wind. It was the moon singing. The song was soft and wordless, made of light instead of sound. It slipped through the cracks in the blankets, danced along the walls, and brushed over the girls' faces. Bubbles was the first to stir. Her dream shifted. She found herself floating in a sky full of cotton clouds that glowed blue. She looked down and gasped softly. Below her was Townsville, but it sparkled like glass, like a city made of stars. A silver ribbon of light swirled around her. It whispered like laughter. Bubbles tilted her head. "Hello?" The ribbon shimmered, wrapping gently around her hands. Then she heard it a melody that felt like home. "You are safe, little one. You are loved." Bubbles smiled in her dream, hugging the light close. "You sound like the moon." The ribbon giggled a soft chime and drifted away, curling through the sky. Down below, Blossom dreamed too. In her dream, she stood in a field of white flowers that glowed under silver light. Each petal was shaped like a tiny star. The moonlight hummed softly above her, folding around her shoulders like a shawl. Blossom whispered, "Are you watching over us?" The moon's voice seemed to answer from everywhere at once, warm, calm, timeless. "You lead with love. Even the moon sees that." Blossom smiled, eyes glimmering with tears she didn't quite understand. "Then I'll keep leading with kindness," she promised softly. Buttercup dreamed last. In her dream, she was standing on a calm lake. The surface reflected the moon perfectly, bright and endless. She frowned, crossing her arms. "Okay, what's this supposed to be? Some weird moon spa?" But then her reflection blinked and smiled at her. "Hey," it said gently, "you don't always have to be tough." Buttercup blinked. I don't?" The reflection shook its head. "No, the moonlight knows strength shines even when it's quiet." The water rippled with light, wrapping around her feet like silk. Buttercup exhaled, slow, peaceful, and whispered, "Yeah, maybe quiet isn't so bad." Outside the dream world, the moon's melody continued weaving the girls' dreams together like threads in a glowing tapestry. The blanket fort shimmered faintly, its edges glowing silver. If someone had peeked inside, they might have seen tiny motes of light drifting above the sleeping girls like floating fireflies, humming softly to the moon's rhythm. And for that hour, everything in Townsville seemed to breathe slower. Even the stars blinked gently as if listening. When the song began to fade, it left behind a hush so peaceful it almost glowed. The moon smiled down one last time, a silver guardian, over the tiny, dreaming heroes. Its last whisper floated through the night. "Sleep, brave hearts. Dream bright. Dream kind." Then silence. Only the soft rhythm of breathing, the creak of a blanket, the faint sparkle of fairy lights still glowing in the dark. The moonlight dream deepened. The Powerpuff Girls, their friends, and all the little sounds of their blanket forts seemed to float weightless in the soft glow of the night. The air shimmered just a little at first, like dust dancing in the light. Then the shimmer began to take shape. Tiny points of light twirled down from above the dream sky, sparkling like snowflakes made of music. They weren't stars exactly. They were something gentler, something alive. Little beings made of starlight, glowing with soft colors, silver, blue, rose, and gold, drifted toward these sleeping girls, their light pulsing with the rhythm of the moon's lullaby. Bubbles was the first to notice them in her dream. She blinked and gasped. "Oh, you're so pretty!" The nearest one twinkled brighter, spinning in delight. Its voice sounded like the ring of tiny bells. "We're the starlight visitors. The moon sent us to keep you company while you dream." Bubbles clasped her hands together. "The moon sent friends?" The little light laughed. "Of course. The moon knows no dream should be lonely." In Blossom's dream of glowing flowers, the petals began to lift and drift upward, revealing more of the visitors, gentle lights that glided between the stems. One hovered near her, its glow calm and wise. "Blossom," it whispered, "you dream of taking care of everyone, even when you're tired. And that's very bright of you." Blossom smiled softly. "But how do I make sure my light doesn't fade?" The starlight brushed her cheek like a warm breeze. "Even stars rest behind clouds sometimes. That's how they keep shining when the sky clears." Blossom nodded, feeling that truth settle into her heart. Buttercup's dream lake rippled again, and two of the glowing visitors appeared on the water, their reflections trembling beside hers. They sparkled green and gold, matching the glint of her eyes. "Hey, Buttercup," one said playfully. "Still trying to act tough?" Buttercup smirked. "Maybe a little." The second light floated closer, circling her. Even the strongest fighters have quiet nights. Strength isn't about being loud, it's about shining steady. Buttercup looked at her reflection and it smiled back, this time with peace instead of pride. She chuckled softly. "Guess I can shine a little steadier, yeah." Meanwhile, in another corner of the shared dream, Robin and Princess had their own surprises. Robin found herself surrounded by stars that hummed along to her laughter. Princess stood still, blinking up at the soft swirl of light around her. One of the visitors hovered near and whispered, "See? You're welcome here, too." Princess's lips curved into the smallest, truest smile she'd ever made. "Maybe. I don't have to try so hard all the time." The little light giggled. "Exactly." Slowly, all their dream worlds began to merge. The lake, the flowers, the sky all became one giant landscape of silver and gold stretching forever. The blanket fort appeared in the middle of it, twinkling with the same gentle light that now filled the stars above. The starlight visitors danced above it, weaving threads of silver light that connected every heart inside Buttercup's bravery, Blossom's care, Bubbles' joy, Princess's hope, Robin's laughter. The threads shone brighter and brighter until they formed a single pattern, a constellation shaped like a heart. Bubbles pointed, eyes wide. "Look, that's us!" The starlight chimed in agreement. "It's the constellation of friendship. It shines brightest when you dream together." The moon's soft melody returned, not a song this time, but a hum like a heartbeat in the sky. The starlight visitors began to fade, their glows melting back into the silver air. Before they vanished completely, one called out gently, "Remember, when you close your eyes, you're never truly apart. You'll always find each other in the dreamlight." The girls waved, smiling through the fading glow. "Thank you," Bubbles whispered. And then, with one last twinkle, the visitors were gone. The girls' dreams grew quieter. The light settled, the lake calmed, the petals fell slowly back to earth. Everything went still again, soft as a sigh. Back in the real world, the blanket fort flickered faintly, one final shimmer of starlight, brushing the fairy lights before they dimmed. Buttercup mumbled something in her sleep. Blossom turned over and smiled. Bubbles giggled quietly in her dreams. Outside, the moon glowed a little brighter, as if smiling too. The first light of dawn slipped through the curtains, soft and quiet, like it didn't want to wake anyone too soon. The blanket fort glowed faintly, the fairy lights still twinkling, now pale and sleepy after their long night of watching. Inside, the Powerpuff Girls and their friends stirred one by one. Bubbles blinked, rubbing her eyes. Morning already?" Her voice was barely a whisper. Blossom yawned softly beside her, stretching under the blankets. "I think so. The stars are gone." Buttercup sat up, her hair sticking up in every direction. "Oh. Did anyone else dream something weird and sparkly?" Robin giggled, sitting cross-legged with a pillow in her lap. "Yeah, there were these little glowing things that talked to me." Princess rubbed her eyes, her usually perfect hair messy but somehow still elegant. "I thought that was just my imagination." Bubbles clapped her hands together. "No way. I saw them too. The starlight visitors." Everyone blinked at her. Buttercup frowned thoughtfully. "Wait, that was real?" Blossom smiled, her voice calm. "Maybe it was real in the way dreams are real, soft and secret, but true inside the heart." They sat in the quiet fort for a while, the world outside still half asleep. The air was full of that perfect stillness that only comes right before sunrise. Robin tilted her head. Do you think the moon really sang to us? Bubbles nodded, certain. It did. I could feel it. Buttercup chuckled softly. Yeah, I kind of did too. It said some stuff that actually made sense. Princess smirked. That's a first. Buttercup raised an eyebrow. Hey! But the teasing was gentle this time, friendly, light. Blossom's eyes glowed in the soft dawn light. The moon song wasn't just for us. It's for everyone who needs to rest and feel safe. Bubbles crawled out of the fort and opened the window. The cool morning air drifted in, carrying the smell of dew and flowers. The sky was painted in pinks and golds like the moon had left its colors behind. Buttercup joined her, leaning on the windowsill. Looks like a good day for pancakes. Bubbles giggled. With sprinkles? Blossom smiled. Always. The professor appeared at the doorway, rubbing his eyes and smiling. Well, good morning, sleepyheads. Did you have a nice night? Blossom answered softly. The best one ever. Bubbles nodded eagerly. We had dreams with moon songs and tiny stars that talked. Buttercup shrugged. And no monsters. That's a win. The professor chuckled. Sounds wonderful. I'm glad you all had such a peaceful night. He glanced at the blanket fort, a beautiful, messy mix of colors and lights, and his eyes softened. You girls sure know how to fill this house with magic. One by one, their friends packed up their sleeping bags, still smiling from their dreams. Robin hugged Bubbles goodbye. Princess waved, less dramatic than usual, and said quietly, Thanks for inviting me. Bubbles smiled. You're always welcome, Princess. And Princess, just for a moment, smiled back for real. When everyone was gone, the sisters sat under their fort one last time, sipping warm cocoa and listening to the quiet morning. Blossom sighed contentedly. I think we'll remember this night forever. Bubbles leaned her head on Blossom's shoulder. It felt like the moon was saying thank you. Buttercup smirked softly. Or maybe it just liked our fort. They all laughed quietly. Outside, the sun began to climb and the moon faded, slipping behind soft clouds. But as it disappeared, the fairy lights blinked once a little brighter, as if waving goodbye. Soft flute melody returns, fading gently. In that calm between night and morning, the Powerpuff Girls sat together, three sisters, hearts full of light, still wrapped in their blanket fort of dreams. Even when the sun rose completely, that warmth didn't leave. It stayed a quiet glow that shimmered in their smiles, reminding them that some dreams don't end when you wake up. The day passed in a blur of sunshine. The girls played outside, visited the park, and even helped the professor make the world's tallest pancake stack for lunch. Laughter filled the house like light through a window. But as the sun began to dip again, painting the sky in glowing shades of rose and gold, something gentle stirred in all their hearts. The memory of the moonlight, the dreams, the quiet hum of the night that had felt alive with magic. After dinner, the Powerpuff Girls stepped outside onto their porch. The air was cool and smelled faintly of grass and stars. Bubbles twirled on her toes, gazing at the darkening sky. Do you think the starlight visitors are up there now? Blossom smiled, her eyes following the first star that blinked to life. I think they're always there, watching over everyone who dreams. Buttercup stretched her arms behind her head, pretending to be casual, but her voice was soft. Maybe they're just waiting for us to fall asleep again so they can say hi. They all laughed quietly, their laughter carried away on the evening breeze. The blanket fort still stood in the living room, a little rumpled, but still beautiful. They didn't take it down. It felt like a friend now, a small reminder of their night under the stars. Bubbles crawled inside first, humming a tune that sounded a little like the moon song. Buttercup followed, bringing in a small lantern to glow like a mini moon. Blossom climbed in last, carrying a single blanket big enough for all three. They settled together, wrapped up like one heart, one story. Outside, the stars brightened. The moon rose again, silver and steady, like it had been waiting all day for this moment. Inside the fort, the girls whispered softly, "Blossom, do you think we'll dream about the moon again tonight?" Bubbles, "Maybe. Or maybe the moon will dream about us." Buttercup, "Huh. Better we show up in its dream-kicking butt." They giggled quietly, their voices fading into sleepy smiles. As their eyes grew heavy, the fairy lights began to flicker once more, a slow, peaceful rhythm. And far above the clouds, the moon glowed a little brighter. It whispered across the sky in a voice too soft for words, but strong enough for hearts to hear. "You are my little light, shining, brave, and kind. Even when you rest, your glow warms the world." The city below fell silent. The breeze brushed through the trees, and the blanket fort glimmered one last time, a constellation tucked inside a home. Hours later, the professor peeked into the living room. He smiled at the sight. Three tiny heroes curled together beneath their glowing roof of dreams. He whispered, "Good night, my little stars." Then he switched off the last lamp, leaving only the moonlight behind. The lullaby returns, harp, soft wind, faint heartbeat rhythm. The night wrapped around Townsville like a gentle hug. The moon rose high, its silver glow spreading over houses, rivers, and rooftops, over friends sleeping soundly, over tiny kittens, and over one very special blanket fort filled with light and love. And if you listen closely, somewhere between a sigh and a dream, you could still hear it, the moon's secret melody singing softly, to all who believed in gentle nights and glowing hearts. You a story. Far away in the cozy little city of Townsville, where the lights twinkle softly at night, three little heroes are beginning to yawn. The Powerpuff Girls, Blossom, Bubbles, and Buttercup, have brushed their teeth, put on their fluffy pajamas, and are getting ready for bed. The night is quiet. Even the wind moves slowly, carrying the scent of fresh flowers from the garden below their window. The professor walks in, smiling softly, holding a cup of warm milk for each of them. "Good night, my little Powerpuff Girls," he whispers, tucking them in. "Good night, Professor," the girls reply in sleepy voices. Soon Buttercup is half asleep, mumbling about winning tomorrow's dodgeball game. Bubbles hugs her stuffed octopus Octi with a little giggle. But Blossom can't fall asleep just yet. She lies there staring at the ceiling, feeling something gentle, calling her a quiet whisper from the stars. Outside her window, the night sky looks especially beautiful tonight. The stars shimmer softly, almost like they're humming a song. Blossom tilts her head, curious. She closes her eyes and listens. At first, she hears nothing but the soft hum of Townsville, a car in the distance, a leaf brushing against the window pane. But then, a faint melody drifts through the air, a lullaby, sung by the stars themselves. It's soft and kind, and it feels like it's meant just for her. Blossom sits up quietly, careful not to wake her sisters. She tiptoes to the window and looks out. The stars seem to shimmer brighter, blinking in a rhythm, like they're saying hello. "Are you singing to me?" Blossom whispers. And somehow, deep inside, she feels that the stars are answering yes. She feels a gentle warmth in her chest, not from power or energy, but from something calm, peaceful. Like the stars are telling her, you don't have to be perfect all the time. You just have to be you. Blossom leans her chin on the windowsill, sighing softly. She thinks of all the things she's done that day, saving Townsville, finishing her homework, helping Bubbles tie her bow. She always wants to do everything right. But sometimes, even heroes need to rest. The song of the stars grows softer, slower. It sounds like silver bells wrapped in clouds. Each note seems to brush against her cheeks like the night breeze. She watches as a small, golden star glows brighter than the others right above her window. It twinkles 3 times, then slowly begins to drift closer, closer, until it looks almost as if it's floating toward her. Blossom blinks in wonder. The star stops just at the edge of the window pane, hovering in the air like a gentle firefly. Its light is warm and welcoming. And then the star sings, not in words, but in a soft tune, one that Blossom feels deep in her heart. Her eyelids grow heavy, but her heart feels light. The star seems to be saying, "Come find us, Blossom. We have something to show you." Blossom yawns. She doesn't know if she's dreaming or if the night has truly come alive, but her curiosity sparkles just as bright as that star. The star glows one last time, leaving a tiny trail of starlight that drifts out toward the garden. Blossom looks at her sisters, both sound asleep, breathing peacefully. Then she whispers, "I'll be right back." Quiet as a whisper, she floats down from the window, following the trail of light that shimmers across the grass. The air is cool and gentle on her cheeks. The crickets hum softly in rhythm with the star's song. She follows the glowing path through the garden, past the daisies, past the sleepy tulips, and into a patch of silver-blue grass that she's never noticed before. There, at the center of the garden, something sparkles a circle of tiny floating lights, like fireflies dancing together in harmony. Blossom steps closer, her heart calm but curious. The lights move in soft swirls, forming shapes, a star, a heart, a little ribbon. Then slowly they form a path leading into the sky itself. Blossom blinks in amazement. A stairway of starlight leading upward. She takes a breath, her voice a whisper. "This must be what they wanted to show me." As the stars sing softly around her, Blossom takes her first step upward, and the light feels warm beneath her feet, like clouds made of dreams. Higher and higher she floats, surrounded by silver sparkles and soft hums of music. Townsville grows smaller below her. The world becomes peaceful, wrapped in gentle blue. And as she climbs higher into the starry sky, Blossom feels something she hasn't felt in a while, pure, quiet calm. She smiles, and the stars sing a little louder, as if they're smiling too. Soft background fades, the story slows for the listener to drift deeper into rest. The stars twinkle like tiny lullabies, guiding Blossom gently toward the unknown beauty of the night. And as she ascends, her eyelids flutter once more, feeling safe and sleepy and brave. The stars shimmer softly around Blossom as she climbs the stairway made of light. Each step hums under her feet a tiny note in the great celestial song. She feels weightless, like drifting through a dream. But as she rises higher, something changes. The music slows, the stars grow dimmer, quieter. The night wind sighs not cold, but curious as if it's watching her. Blossom looks around. Below her, Townsville is now a patchwork of tiny lights. Above her, endless sky scattered with faintly glowing stars. But in the distance, a cluster of stars isn't shining. They're dark, still, like holes in the night. Blossom floats closer, her pink eyes reflecting the faint silver of the path. The starlight beneath her feet begins to flicker, like candles in a soft breeze. She pauses, holding her breath. The star's song, that gentle lullaby, fades into something else. A whisper, a sound that almost feels like words. Blossom. She turns. No one's there. Only the glow of the starlit path stretching endlessly. She takes another step, and the stars beneath her dim again, then return, shimmering nervously. It's as if the sky itself is warning her to be careful. Her heart beats softly, not afraid, just alert. She keeps walking, her red bow fluttering the night air. The path leads her to a place she's never seen before. A floating island made of mist and light. Tiny glowing orbs drift around her like slow, sleepy fireflies. But they're not fireflies. As Blossom leans closer, she sees their faces, gentle, round, starry faces. Each orb has tiny eyes and a sleepy smile. They hum softly, creating a sound like wind chimes underwater. "Hello," Blossom whispers. The orbs blink in unison. One of them floats closer and brushes against her cheek. It leaves a faint trail of light that glows in the shape of a heart before fading away. Blossom smiles. They're not scary, she thinks. They're just shy. The orbs twirl around her, forming a glowing ribbon of silver light, guiding her deeper into the floating island. But the deeper she goes, the darker it becomes. The stars overhead vanish one by one, as if someone is gently blowing them out. The soft silver light turns into deep violet. The air hums lower now, heavier. Blossom. The whisper returns, closer this time. She looks around. The orbs freeze, trembling, their lights flickering. From the shadows between the stars, something begins to take shape, tall and soft, like a cloud, but darker, denser. Doesn't move with the wind that pulls at it. The starlit island trembles. The tiny orbs hide behind Blossom, their light shrinking to a soft pulse. Blossom stands tall, though she feels the chill of the air brush her hands. "Who's there?" she calls, her voice calm but steady. The cloud doesn't answer, it only hums. A deep, low hum that sounds like a forgotten note in the star's song. Then slowly the shape bends toward her, and for a moment she sees it clearly. A face, but not a scary one, a lonely one. Eyes made of shadows, a smile made of light, and a voice like wind through glass. "Blossom, why did you leave the dream?" Blossom blinks, unsure what that means. "The dream," she repeats. The creature nods slowly. It drifts closer, and Blossom can see starlight swirling inside its body, like galaxies turning in slow motion. "You followed the song," it says softly. But the song is not for the waking. The words hang in the air. Blossom's heart beats faster, but not in fear. Something in the creature's tone feels sad. She takes a careful step closer. "I didn't mean to leave the dream," she says gently. "The stars called me. They sang to me." The creature hums again, almost like a sigh. "Then you heard what others could not, the song of courage." Its eyes brighten faintly, two golden stars flickering in the dark mist. "The stars sing only to those who are brave enough to listen," it whispers. "But their song can open doors that must stay closed." Blossom looks around. The path behind her, the one made of light, is fading. The stars that led her here are gone. "Can I go back?" she asks quietly. The creature's form ripples like a wave made of light. "You can, but you must first listen to the silence between the stars." The silence between the stars. Blossom frowns softly. "How do I do that?" The creature smiles faintly. "Close your eyes." Blossom hesitates, but she trusts it. She closes her eyes. The hum fades away. The violet light softens. All that remains is a deep velvety quiet, so still she can hear her own heartbeat. And then, beneath the silence, something stirs, not sound, but feeling. A warmth. Like the stars are hugging her from far away. She feels the path reappear beneath her feet, glowing faintly again. The orbs peek out from behind her and begin to sing softly, adding light to the air. When Blossom opens her eyes, the creature is gone. In its place floats a single glowing feather made of starlight. She catches it in her hands. It's warm, like holding a piece of comfort. It hums gently as if whispering. Courage is not in fighting the dark, it's in listening to it. Blossom tucks the feather into her bow. The orbs gather around her, bright again, happy again, twirling as if to thank her. And slowly the stars return one by one, lighting the path forward once more. The song of the stars grows stronger, wrapping around her like a blanket. She takes a breath and whispers, "Thank you." And then she steps forward again, following the light this time, not out of curiosity, but out of calm, out of understanding. The stars begin to sing again, softer, steadier, guiding her towards something new that waits beyond the mist. And as Blossom walks deeper into the night, her eyes feel heavy once more. But her heart feels full. The air is calm again. The violet mist fades into silver light as Blossom continues along the glowing path. Each step hums softly like tiny bells, clear and bright. The stars above her twinkle gently as if sighing in relief. The starlight feather in Blossom's bow glows faintly, guiding her forward. She feels safe again. Not lost, not afraid. Just curious. The path opens up into something she's never seen before. A vast garden, floating in the middle of the night sky. It stretches endlessly with flowers made of light, petals shimmering like tiny galaxies. Their stems are silver, their leaves translucent. And in the center of the garden, a river flows, but it isn't made of water. It's made of starlight. Blossom gasps softly. "Oh, it's beautiful." She kneels beside the glowing river and dips her hand into it. The starlight ripples, cool and soft against her fingertips. When she lifts her hand, droplets fall upward instead of down, floating away like tiny glowing stars. She giggles softly. It feels like magic, but gentle, the kind of magic that doesn't need to be fought or feared. The orbs from before drift beside her again, spinning happily. They glow a little brighter now, their colors shifting from silver to gold. "Thank you for bringing me here," Blossom whispers. The orbs respond with a soft, melodic hum, like a choir made of dreams. As Blossom walks through the glowing garden, she notices the flowers moving. Not in the wind, but to the rhythm of the stars' song. They sway and shimmer, their petals opening wider with each note. And then she hears it. The same song that first called her from her window, the song of the stars. But this time, it's fuller, deeper. She can hear layers, voices upon voices, harmonizing gently in the distance. It's the song of the silent stars. The air fills with soft golden dust that drifts through the sky like slow snowflakes. Blossom stretches out her hand and lets one land on her palm. It glows and hums faintly, a heartbeat of the universe. Suddenly she feels a presence. Not dark, not strange familiar. She turns and sees the professor. Not quite him, more like a soft, glowing image made of starlight. He smiles gently. "Blossom," he says in that warm, patient tone she knows so well. "What are you doing so far from home?" Her voice trembles slightly. I followed the stars. They were singing to me." He nods slowly, still smiling. "I know. They sing to those who listen with their hearts. You've always had the biggest one of all." She blinks, tears of light forming in her eyes. "But I don't understand. Why me? Why now?" The professor's image flickers, glowing brighter for a moment. "Because even heroes need to rest, Blossom. Sometimes the stars call you not to fight, but to dream." His image starts to fade, scattering into tiny glowing particles. "Don't be afraid of the dark," his voice echoes softly. "It's where the stars learn to shine." And then he's gone, only the soft sound of the river remains. Blossom sits quietly beside it, letting her reflection shimmer in the starlight. Her reflection smiles back at her, calm, peaceful, glowing faintly pink. She breathes slowly, deeply. The stars above twinkle in rhythm with her heart. The orbs hum softly, floating around her like tiny protectors. And then she notices something new. On the other side of the Starlight River, there's a glowing archway made of crystal vines. Beyond it, the sky seems even brighter, like dawn waiting to rise. Blossom stands. She can feel that this is the next part of her journey. The star's song swells gently, carrying her forward. As she steps across the glowing bridge, she feels warmth return to the air. The sound of the river fades behind her, replaced by the quiet chirping of dream birds, tiny winged stars fluttering above her head. The path leads into a small meadow filled with silver grass and shimmering butterflies. The butterflies glow with every beat of their wings, creating patterns in the air, constellations made of motion. Blossom laughs softly. It feels like the stars are playing now, showing her that even the sky has joy. The starlight feather in her bow pulses again, softly humming a new tune. It's slower, gentler, almost like a lullaby being sung just for her. She follows it to a small tree standing alone in the center of the meadow. Its branches stretch out like arms reaching for the stars. But the most beautiful part is that the tree is covered in sleeping stars. Tiny orbs nestle like fruit. She steps closer and touches one of the branches. The stars on it pulse faintly, glowing in time with her heartbeat. "They're dreaming," she whispers. And somehow she knows she's right. The stars aren't gone during the day, they're just dreaming here, safe and peaceful. She sits under the tree and leans against its soft, glowing trunk. The light from the sleeping stars warms her face. The song of the universe hums softly all around. Blossom closes her eyes. She feels safe, loved, and calm, surrounded by the beauty of everything she's discovered. The orbs gather around her, creating a little cocoon of light. One by one they dim, as if tucking her in. The stars above whisper softly, their lullaby returning once more. And in that moment, Blossom understands something she never noticed before. The stars don't just sing, they listen. They listen into dreams, to hopes, to the quiet wishes made in the dark. And they keep them safe like treasures hidden in light. As Blossom drifts into a gentle sleep beneath the tree of dreaming stars, her last thought is a soft whisper. Thank you for singing to me." The stars shimmer once, as if answering her. "You're welcome, Blossom." The stars shimmer quietly above the meadow. Blossom sleeps peacefully beneath the tree of dreaming stars, her hands resting over her heart, her bow glowing faintly with the light of the feather tucked inside. For a long while, the sky simply breathes, slow, steady, calm. The world feels at peace. Then slowly, something begins to stir. A soft, rustling sound like starlight brushing against silk. Blossom's eyes flutter open. The world around her has changed again. The garden of silent stars is gone, replaced by a gentle glow of blue mist. It feels colder now, but not frightening. Just quiet, like dawn before sunrise. She sits up and looks around. Tiny silver lights float through the air, drifting in lazy spirals. The air hums softly, but she can tell something is missing. The star's song. It's quiet now. Blossom frowns gently. "Where's the song gone?" she whispers. She stands and begins to walk through the mist. The starlight feather in her bow flickers faintly, pulsing like a heartbeat guiding her again. She follows its glow. After a while, she reaches a small clearing, and there, sitting on a patch of silver moss, is a tiny star. It's dull. Its light barely flickers, like a candle almost out. Its glow trembles softly, as if afraid to shine. Blossom kneels beside it. "Hey there," she says gently, her voice soft as a whisper. "Are you okay?" The little star looks up at her, its glow dim. "I don't know," it says, voice tiny and trembling. "I think I forgot how to shine." Blossom's heart softens. "Oh no," she says kindly. "How did that happen?" The star sighs, a small, sparkling puff of light escaping its edges. "I was part of the big song," it says quietly. "All the stars were singing together, lighting up the sky, but then I got scared." "Scared?" Blossom tilts her head. "Of what?" "Of being too small," says the star. "Of being the dimmest one. I stopped singing, and then my light faded. The others went on without me." Blossom listens quietly. She knows that feeling, the pressure of always being perfect, of shining bright all the time. But she also knows what happens when you forget to rest. She smiles softly. "You know, sometimes even the brightest lights need to dim for a while. It doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're resting." The star blinks, its light flickering a little stronger. "Resting?" Blossom nods. "When I'm tired, I stop fighting and listen. That's how I hear the stars sing. Maybe you just need to listen again." The little star looks down, thinking, "But what if I can't? What if I forgot the melody?" Blossom reaches up and touches her bow. The starlight feather hums softly in response. "I can help you remember," she says. "The stars taught me their song. I'll hum it with you." She sits beside the star, closes her eyes, and begins to hum a slow, gentle melody. Soft and steady, like a lullaby carried by wind. The same song that brought her here, the one that feels like home. At first, the star only listens. Its dim light flickers with each note, matching the rhythm. Then shyly, it joins in a small, trembling hum that grows a little louder with each breath. Together they hum the song of the stars, the lullaby that stretches across the sky. The mist around them starts to shimmer. The air fills with warm, golden sparkles. The Starlight River reappears faintly in the distance, flowing once more. The little star's glow grows brighter, brighter, until it fills the clearing with soft, gentle light. Blossom opens her eyes and smiles. "There," she whispers. "See? You didn't forget. You just needed a friend." The star giggles, a sound like bells made of light. I remember now, I remember the song. It spins in the air, leaving trails of glowing dust that spiral upward. The stars above begin to sing again, faintly at first, then stronger. One by one, constellations relight, filling the sky with 1,000 soft voices. Blossom looks up, her heart glowing as brightly as the stars themselves. The little star hovers beside her. "Thank you, Blossom," it says softly. "You helped me shine again." She nods, her eyes warm. "Sometimes the stars sing for me," she says. "Tonight, I wanted to sing for you." The little star's light shimmers in gratitude. "Come," it says. "There's something I want to show you." It floats ahead, leaving a path of light behind it like tiny stepping stones in the air. Blossom follows, her hair glowing faintly pink under the starlight. They travel together through the night sky, the star's song swirling softly around them. The little star twirls and sparkles, finally free of its fear. As they reach a higher part of the sky, Blossom notices something new. A giant glowing gate made of pure starlight stands before them, its shape delicate and shimmering, like crystal lace. "What is this?" she asks softly. The little star glows warmly. "The heart of the stars," it whispers. "The place where the first song began." Blossom gazes in awe. The air hums softly, like 1,000 voices breathing in perfect harmony. The star turns to her. "Only those who listen to the silence and sing without fear can enter." Blossom takes a deep breath. She feels her heart beating in rhythm with the song all around. Her bow glows brighter, the starlight feather pulsing like a beacon. The gate slowly begins to open, casting waves of golden light that ripple across the sky. The warmth touches her face and she smiles softly. As she steps closer, the star's song grows louder, but not in sound. It's felt, deep in her chest, like love itself. The little star hovers beside her and whispers, "Welcome home, Blossom." And with that, she steps through the gate into a light that feels like a dream. The gate of starlight opens wider, glowing brighter with every breath Blossom takes. The little star hovers beside her, its light calm and steady now. Together, they step forward into the heart of the sky. Beyond the gate, the world changes. There is no ground, no horizon, no up or down. Only endless space filled with slow-moving, light ribbons of color winding and dancing like the northern lights, soft and infinite. The air hums. It isn't sound exactly. It's a feeling, like the sky itself is alive and breathing. Blossom floats gently forward, her pink bow shimmering in the glow. The starlight feather in her hair pulses brighter with each heartbeat. She feels peace. Not the kind that comes from quiet, but the kind that comes from understanding. "This," says the little star softly, "is the heart of the stars. Every light you see here is a memory, every song, a dream." Blossom looks around. She sees shapes forming in the light scenes of people, of places, of laughter. A mother holding her baby. A child making a wish on a birthday candle. A friend helping another in the rain. All of them shimmer like reflections on water, made of light and love. Blossom gasps softly. "They're people's dreams." The little star nods. Every kind thought, every brave moment, every gentle wish becomes part of the star's song. That's why the night shines so bright. It's made of love. Blossom's heart warms. She floats among the glowing memories, touching them gently. Each one hums softly the laughter of Townsville, the sound of her sisters giggling, the voice of the professor reading a bedtime story. It's all here. Every good thing ever felt shining forever. She turns to the little star. But why me? Why did the stars sing to me? The star floats closer, its glow brightening like a sunrise. Because, Blossom, you carry light even when the world is dark. You listen when others rush. You care when others turn away. You are the calm between the stars' songs. Blossom blushes softly. But I'm not always calm, she says with a small smile. I worry a lot. I make mistakes. The star twinkles gently. That's why they chose you. The stars don't sing for those who never fall. They sing for those who rise again and help others do the same. Blossom feels her chest tighten, not with fear, but with warmth. She looks down at her hands. They're glowing faintly, like they've absorbed the starlight. All around her, the glowing ribbons begin to swirl faster, softly wrapping around her. Each color hums a different note, blending into one great harmony. Pink, gold, silver, blue spinning like galaxies. The heart of the stars begins to sing. Not a loud song, but one that fills every part of her. She can feel it in her heartbeat, her breath, her thoughts. It's the song of courage, of love, of kindness, the song she followed from her window. Blossom closes her eyes and lets the music fill her. Every memory she's ever had flickers in the light. Her sister's laughter, the professor's smile, the joy of helping Townsville. It all shines together, forming a single note that belongs to her. The little star hovers near her shoulder. You've always been part of the star song, Blossom. You just didn't know it. Her voice trembles softly. Does that mean I'm one of them? The star shakes its glow gently. You're both. Your light and your love. You shine so others can rest, and you rest so others can shine. The ribbons of light circle closer now, wrapping her in a warm cocoon of golden glow. The sound becomes softer, like a heartbeat slowing for sleep. Blossom floats there, eyes closed, letting the song cradle her. She feels safe. She feels small and infinite all at once. When she opens her eyes again, she sees the other stars gathering thousands of tiny lights, forming faces, smiles, and soft, glowing eyes. They're all singing together in harmony. The little star turns to her. They wanted to thank you. Blossom tilts her head. Thank me? For listening, the star says softly. For being the kind of heart that hears when the world grows too noisy. For remembering that even heroes need quiet. The lights around her shimmer like falling petals. The heart of the stars begins to glow brighter until it feels like morning in every direction. Blossom feels tears, light tears, soft and silver, drift upward from her cheeks. She laughs gently through them. I think I understand now. The little star smiles. Then it's time to go home. Blossom nods. But she isn't sad. She knows she can carry this peace with her in her heart, in her song, in her dreams. The ribbons of light begin to unwind, spiraling slowly around her. The sound of the star's song fades into a whisper. The last thing she hears before everything goes quiet is the voice of the stars themselves, gentle and loving. Good night, Blossom. Thank you for listening. And then, softly, everything turns to light. The light fades. The song of the stars drifts into silence, leaving only the soft whisper of the night breeze. For a moment, everything feels weightless, like time itself is asleep. Then gently, the world begins to return. Blossom opens her eyes. She's lying in her own bed again beneath her pink blanket. The glow of the morning sun filters through the window, brushing her face in gold. For a few seconds, she doesn't move. She listens. The city outside is quiet. Birds are just beginning to sing. Her sisters are still asleep.